Hey guys, do you know what would be real good? If I could just have a set location where I film my videos in my house, so I stop having to move around, because every time I move location, like, you know, bedroom, living room, kitchen in the background, I have to adjust my tripod settings, and then I have to adjust, you know, the calibration of the camera, and it's just like, it's really irritating, because I'll find a position that I like filming in, like in the bedroom, like the light's kind of better, because even though I actually have some professional lights, I'm not great at using them, and I'm not great at putting them up, so I've only used them a few times. So yeah, it's kind of sucking, and I have no idea what this is going to look like when I go back to watch it, because it never looks like what it looks like when I'm looking at the screen. I hope that made sense. So I have basically all the lights on in the room, and not too many behind me. That's about as much as I know about lighting, and I took photography at college, and I failed. I mean, I didn't fail, but that was my hardest. I didn't actually finish the course, is what I mean. But yeah, lighting was terrible for me. I just didn't understand it, and I should really learn that and watch some YouTube videos on it. Anyway, if you can hear a load of noise, I'm really sorry. I have to have the windows open because this flat is hot as. Because I swear to God, everyone like who lives around, like above, below and beside, I swear they've got their heating on, and I hate heat. I get hot really easily, and yeah, so I just had to have the windows open constantly, and I actually have a fan at the window. That sounded like there was someone by the window screaming my name. Haha. No, you know, a fan that blows wind. Yes, I'm sure that's what you all thought anyway. I have that by the open window, so it's blowing the cool air into the apartment, and yeah, it's creating a lot of noise, and you know, there's probably going to be some sirens and stuff, but hey ho. And the man shape is on his way home, so I'm under a bit of a time limit because I can't film in front of anyone. Although I might try, but yeah, if he comes home halfway through this, I'm screwed, because it's got to be one take. Anyway, today's topic is, how do I word it? I should have written this one down. Okay, it's all about books, and it's books specifically about anxiety or depression or that kind of stuff. I won't go into a massive list because it could be applicable to so many mental health issues. And basically I just collected a bunch of my books. There's not actually as many as it looks like. I just picked out the ones that I found the most helpful, and I will be honest and say I have not read all of these from cover to cover, but often with, like, especially with the self-help type books, like, you can dip in and out of certain sections, especially if you're using them in conjunction with therapy. Anyway, I'll get going, shall I, to try and make this a 10-minute video. I have 7 minutes to go through. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've only got 6 books, and some of them I'm just going to fly through because I haven't actually read a lot of them, but the parts I did read were really useful, and that's what I'm trying to get across, is these are books that might have helped me, that have helped me in some way on my recovery journey, because I'm not there, you know, I'm not well, I'm not recovered, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I was most of the time. So my number one book is A Life at Last, and I always call it At Last a Life. Oh my god, I've just done it again. It's called At Last a Life, and I always call it the wrong thing. And it is by a guy called Paul David, and it is an independently published book. So you're only supposed to buy it from his website. I got mine from Amazon, and I actually got in contact with him because I think he asked a question on Twitter or something, like about where people were getting his books, and I said, and he was like a bit and yeah, so anyway, I gave him like the code, and anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to find the website just in case you want to look it up. Anyway, you can look up the name of the book, and I promise you will find his website, and there's a whole forum like surrounding this book, and it's a really good forum. I haven't interacted on it myself, but I have read it, and yeah, it's just I mean, you can see how many pages I've gone really overboard with my, what the hell, file markers, page markers. But I like these ones. Can you see them right really close up? Because they're like half see-through, they're like transparent. I really like that because it means you can go through and actually highlight portions of text without drawing on it, because you can probably guess that I don't really like to draw on books. I don't like to dog-ear them either, hence my obsessive love for these. I'm talking a really long time about one book, but anyway, he calls himself an ex-sufferer of anxiety and panic, and I found this book, I think this was probably one of the very first books I bought after I discovered that's what I was suffering with, and it was so insanely helpful to read through someone's story and just think, oh my god, like that, just, I can't think of the word, you know, like that's me. So much of it clicked with me in my brain, so I'm not trying to, you know, advertise anything, I'm just saying it's actually really not expensive either. I think it was about £10. It doesn't even say, because it's an independently published book, it doesn't actually say how much it was, but yeah, I would recommend this to anyone, because it's someone else's story and it's how he actually got to a point where he feels like he is recovered. And he's on Twitter, you know, you can talk to him. He's a good guy, as far as I can tell. And yeah, I found it really, really helpful. Gonna move on now. 6 minutes. I talked about one book for 3 minutes. That's not good. This one's a fun one, if you can call it such a thing. I'm sure some of you will recognise it. Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Broche. Probably saying her name wrong. She's actually done some interviews that you can look up on YouTube if you look up her name. I'm just going to hold it still for a second in case you haven't seen this book. And basically this book is a collection of her blog entries, and she suffered really badly with depression and still does, and other things, you know, and anxiety and all kinds of things. And it's just the funniest way of looking at this kind of condition, because, you know, you'll know that I make jokes to try and deal with difficult situations, and I laugh a lot, and, you know, even when I'm feeling terrible I will sometimes see something really funny in something terrible, but not all the time. I'm just saying that I definitely use humour as a defence mechanism, and this book is just hilarious. And I'm not sure, like, if I'm allowed to kind of show you stuff, but, like, you know, it's like just full of drawings that she's done as well, and it's just, I will laugh out loud because she'll just make some joke and you'll just get it, because you're thinking, yeah, I've been on the kitchen floor before thinking there is absolutely nothing in this world that could possibly make me feel good ever again, and then she's lying on the floor and she sees I think it's a pea or a carrot, I think it's a pea, has rolled under the fridge, and this for some reason sparks something in her brain that makes her absolutely hysterical with laughter and happiness at this pea. And it was just, I just get it. I don't know if this is your kind of bag, but I love this book. I love her blog. She's epic. Okay, something a little bit more serious, but just stupidly helpful. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this book if you've ever been to therapy, or especially CBT. Mind over mood. I'm not sure if I can say those names. Change how you feel by changing the way you think. Dennis Greenberger, Christine A. Podesky. Okay, there you go. You can pause it if you want to know what it's really, if you want the details, because, yeah, anyway, this is a weird drawing, huh? I'm always, like, looking at it going, I don't understand it. But everywhere I go, like, every doctor's office here, I'm not sure if it's Canadian or something. Nope, no, I don't think it is. But, yeah, everywhere I go here, like, GP's offices, psychiatrists, therapists, everyone has this book on their shelf, and I'm like, are you paid to do this? It's just a really popular, it's like a, I was going to say guidebook, it's like a workbook, a CBT workbook, and it's full of, like, you know, thought records, things like that. Anyway, I did a lot of work with this book during my CBT sessions, and I'm sure this would be brilliant if you, say, couldn't afford to go and get CBT, or you wanted to try and do something at home, or maybe you're agoraphobic and can't actually get out of the house. I would say this was actually, it's got some really practical, helpful tips for moving forward from a place of square one. You know, that's where I started. This was the first book I had when I arrived in Toronto. and I started CBT here, and that was the first book I bought, and it really got me off to a start. So I definitely recommend that one. All of these are going to be recommendations, but you know what I mean. These are dummies books. Now, I know some people think dummies books are stupid, but I actually quite like them because, I don't know, it's something about the way they're the way they're set out. I quite enjoy the nice, clean kind of way, and they're almost like a textbook you might have in school. I don't know, something about it appeals to me. This one is Cognitive Behavioural Therapy for Dummies, and this is actually, it goes along with this, which is the Cognitive Behavioural Therapy Workbook for Dummies. My face is going to disappear now. Not that that's a bad thing. Yeah, so I'm probably covering some. I'm going to have to peek through the middle. Okay, we're doing okay. I hope that my voice didn't disappear. This is difficult. Are you written by anybody? Okay, it says Wilson Branch, Branch Wilson. Rob Wilson and Rena Branch. That's not going to be hard to look up on Amazon for anyone, is it? Anyway, these kind of go together. It doesn't mean you need both of them. It's just that this one is more practical, this one's more information, and yeah, doesn't look like I've read those very much, but I know that I got something out of them because it basically taught me about CBT and the way it works, and yeah, it was just really good to have like a background that I could go and dip into and kind of, because I have to understand what's happening like in therapy. Like I'm really like thingy about details. Like I have to understand what's happening for me to actually work with it. If I don't understand something, my brain just kind of goes, nope. Like in DBT, this is a total offshoot, and I can see I've gone into double digits, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon. Yeah, what was I saying? In DBT, yeah, I got given an ice pack to hold, and this woman just gave me an ice pack, and I was like, why am I holding an ice pack? And I had no idea why I was holding an ice pack, and she was like, well, is it helping? And I was like, yeah, but why? And she wouldn't tell me at the time. And then yesterday in my therapy session, she actually explained it to me. I don't have time to do that now, but I might actually make a separate video on the ice pack theory, because it's so interesting, and it's totally based in science, which makes me very, very happy. Because I can kind of totally explain it as a kind of, my brain understands what's going on with the ice pack. This is not going to make any sense without me explaining it, so I'm going to shut up. Last book. I cannot read this without looking at it. Why do I keep showing you first? Oh god, I can't say that word. The Dialectical Behaviour Therapy Skills Workbook. There's a cat under the desk. Please don't fuck this up for me. I've been doing so well. It's gone on for almost 30 minutes without me burping, coughing, or doing anything horrendous. Yeah, so I've only recently got this one. No, that's a lie. I got this about, I've probably had this for like 8 to 10 months, back when I very first got put on the waiting list for the DBT group. See? DBT. Okay. But I've only started really looking at it properly recently, since I started having my introductory sessions. Orientation is so much easier to say, no wonder they call it that. So I'm sure we're going to be using this if I carry on with DBT and decide to commit to the 6-month course. Because I get ill a lot, you know, and I don't just mean mentally, I mean I get physically ill a lot. So to commit to 6 months of sessions, and that's like 2 a week, that's actually a pretty big deal. And I know it's the whole part of the therapy is to force yourself to go even when you don't want to. So anyway, enough about that. Those are my book picks. My book picks? Yeah, my favourite useful book picks that have helped me out during really bad times. Especially, I have to go back to this one because it's really weird looking at it actually, because it helped me through some really bad times. I mean, like crisis times, you know. And just to know that there's someone else out there thinking the same way, describing your exact situation, it's pretty incredible. And yes, I know you can go on the internet and find these kind of things, but there's something about having physical book that I really like, that I can just go back to and just look at. I don't know, I just like physical books. I shall not explain myself. I'm sure it's quite common and normal, and I don't care if it isn't. So, every time I try and end a video, I realise I still haven't decided how to end my videos. So I'm just going to say, I hope that this was vaguely informative for any of you, and if you have any books that you would recommend, I'd love to hear what your favourite books are, and if you could leave a comment, I'd be really interested, because I am a bookworm. The only other book I couldn't find that I know that I have, but you know how it is when you move around a lot, you just lose everything. There's a book, very famous book, called Face the Fear and Do It Anyway. I said that right? I'm doing it again. Yeah, Face the Fear and Do It Anyway by, can't remember, and I haven't actually read it. I got given it about 5 years ago by my poor parents. Oh, bless them. And I think I read about 2 pages, but it's one of those books that you always hear about, you know, again and again and again. So you kind of figure, I should probably read this, because it seems to be like the pinnacle of self-help books for anxiety and depression, agoraphobia, etc, etc. So yeah, I was really annoyed that I couldn't find that for this video. I did go digging through a few boxes and then just gave up, because I was like, it's too hot for this shit, and I am not going to find it, let's just face it. So I'm actually going to ask the man show to look when he gets home, because I'm really lazy, and he's just really fast at everything like that. Like looking for stuff or cleaning, he's just really fast, because I guess he's strong and I'm just like a bit pathetic, and I mean physically, like I'm really weak physically now. I used to be okay, but now I'm just like, yeah. So, and also I'm exhausted all the time, so just to unpack one box will take all my energy, whereas he can unpack 10 and just be like, okay. And I'm like, huh? Is that what it's like to be normal, or are you some kind of superhuman? I don't understand it. Anyway, I was going to finish, wasn't I? Anyway, this was quite fun to do, actually, talk about my books. So yeah, any recommendations you have, leave them in a comment down below. I'd really appreciate. I'd really like to hear. I'd really like to share the information. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.